Hello guys, my name is Anthony, and I'll be taking you guys on a project on creating your own first virtual machine. Now, a virtual machine is a scalable computing resources that runs in the Microsoft cloud infrastructure. This is one of the most fundamental services in Azure, allowing you to run your Windows and Linux operating system without owning a physical hardware. VMs are perfect for development, testing, and running application or extending your on-premises infrastructure to the cloud. So what we are going to do right now, we are going to dive into our portal, Azure portal, and build our first VM machine. So what we are going to do right now is our VM machine. I already have it on my screen here. In case I believe for all of you, the prerequisite for this course is for you to understand that is for you to have a fundamental knowledge of Azure. Now I'm already on my virtual machines page. You can search here and type virtual machines and look at it here. You appear here and you click on machine. Now this already you put your subscription, and for the resource group, we already have our resource group. I have a lot of resource group here, and I'll be using the test resource group. Now for the virtual machines name, you have to input a unique name for your virtual machine. Give any name you want to give him, but I would advise you give your virtual machine name based on the project you're working on. The region, you choose the region of my resource group falls on this North Europe. Now for the availability option, we don't need any of the availability options here. We'll keep it on no infrastructure redundancy required. Take note, the availability option, the virtual machine skill set, the availability set, they are all a course on their own. And I'm going to teach you on how to use them and how to work with them. But for now, no infrastructure redundancy is required. The security type, trusted launch virtual machine, or a standard the basic level of security for your virtual machines. So what we are going to do, we are going to just use a standard. And for the image, I'm going to work. We have the Windows, the Linux, a lot of operating systems, but I'm going to use the Windows 2022. Now, the next thing we are going to choose the size of our VM. The one thing I want you to understand, when it comes to sizing, take note, there is a price for all of them, a price for all of them, a price for all the size of our operating system, of our virtual machine. So this time around, I'll be using the Bitwest, which has the virtual CPU 2. The RAM is 4 gig, the data disk is 4 gig, and the mass IOPS is 1280. So I'll use the BS2. Now, second thing you're going to do, you're going to put a username and you're going to put your password. When you come to the public inbound port, we'll allow you to we'll click on the allow selected port. Now, if you click on this drop down, we have the HTTP 80, HTTPS, and the SSH and the RODP. Since we're using the Windows, we're using RODP to log into the system. When we use HTTP 80, is for us to access the Windows server on our web screen. So we are using the RODP. Now we'll go on next, click on this, we'll leave it as default, networking default. All these are on just another course on its own. The disk, the networking, monitoring, and tags. Now when it comes to virtual network, it will create a virtual network for you with a subnet and IP address. And take note, with this IP address, that's what you will use in logging in to your virtual machine. When you come down to the NSG group, you have the NIC, which is your network interface card. If we use none, there will be no security bound inside. But if we use basic, it will generate a NSG for us with the inbound rule. If we click advance, it will give us. If we click advance, it will ask us to create a new one or it will just create this, leave the basic name there for us. So we'll keep it on basic, allow port, RDP, which is the port number of 3389. We are not using the load balancer now. We'll click on management, we'll click on monitoring, next to advance, next to tag, and review and create. Once the validation is passed, this create button will be activated. Now you can see that it's been activated. You click on create, and the virtual machine will start deploying. Will start creating the virtual machine for us. It's saying the initialization, deployment, submitting deployment in progress. So what we are going to do, we will come back, we'll resume when the deployment is completed. Okay, we are back. The deployment is complete. So we'll go to resource. Now, when you come to your resource, if you watch closely, we have our public IP address. We have the resource group is test, not Europe is the location, our subscription, operating system is window, our virtual network is this, and no DNS configured. If you scroll down, we have a private private IP address. This private IP address is being generated by our, if I click on network, is being generated by our network interface card. It is the NIC that generates a public IP address for us. Look at it here. Look at it here. So it's our network is our network interface card that generates, that assign a private IP for us. And take note, this your private IP. This private IP is dynamic. I can make it to be static. It goes nowhere, and I'll just save it. It becomes static. It doesn't change. It doesn't change anytime, any day. But you see your public IP address, which is this public IP address here, it changes. And how does it change? When, if I go back to, if I shut down, this, stop this PC and restart it, this public IP address change. But that is not what we're talking about today. Now let us log into our VM by copying this public IP address. We open our, I already have my RDC remote desktop connection saved on um, my taskbar. Click on it, and I will put the public IP address, connect. Now it will ask me for password. So you put the username of your VM, you put the password you save in there, and connect. It's saying, now if you say, it's saying yes, you click on yes. It's logging in. So the Windows is personalizing settings, setting up the Windows for you. Now the next thing will happen, and the screen will come up. Here is the screen, and it will open the server manager for you. Now on the server manager, where we'll go install our IIS, Internet Information Services. This is the server manager. Okay, it's still loading. So now we are going to install the service for this our virtual machine. The next thing we are going to do, you click on add row. Okay, say server is collecting inventory data. The wizard will soon be available. Okay, let's wait for it to finish. Okay, you click. Let me see. It's still loading. It's still loading. Okay, good. Now you add row. Next, next, next. You scroll down to in web server. Add features. Next, next, and install. So this will take a little time for it to install. Now this IIS, it will install all the management console, the web server. It will install all the HTTP or everything that concerns the web, that concern the web server for this particular VM. While it's installing, let us wait for it to install finish, and I'll be right back. Okay, it has finished installing the IIS, so we'll close it. Now, if we go down to the browser of the VM and we'll type on localhost, let's see if it is working very well. Let's see if it is working. Let's see. Everybody, hold on. Okay, let's just see. Say localhost, localhost. Okay, good. Yes, it's working. Now, if I come back here, if I minimize the VM, if I copy the public IP address, or come here and paste it, let's see if it will work. Let's see. It's not working. Why is it not working? It's not working because there is the network security group we installed before, the NSG. We only have the RDP. Now we have to put a rule telling the network, when we put this public IP on the public browser, we want to connect to the web server. We want to connect to allow us to connect to port 80 for the web server. So if we come here, any source, any port range, any destination, the custom the customs service should be service HTTP, which is port 80, and the priority should be 300, okay, 310, because we already have 300 here. So the lesser the priority, the higher the rules, the fast response, the rules. So let me see, allow any HTTP inbound and say add. The moment you add this instantly, now if we go back here and refresh, we'll have access to the web server. Yes, we'll have access to the web server. So let me refresh it. Good. So we'll have access to the web server. Copy it. Continue. Yes. Now we have access to the web server now. We have access to the web server. This is the web server. We have access to it now. So everyone, you can check it. The same thing for Linux, for Windows. Now, if we're meant to create the one for Windows, well, sorry, this is just for the Windows. What about the Linux? If we want to do the same thing for the Linux, we'll come here and it's same thing. You type the virtual machines, you come here, create, and the subscription, the source group, the text, you put here Linux VM, the nodes group, because that is where my resource group is. Availability, no infrastructure. We have done all this long time. From the security type, we're using the Ubuntu server. This is for the Linux operating system. We'll leave everything as it is. Now, take note, Linux doesn't use RODP. It is either SSH key or a password. Now, we use password for mine, which is more easier. VM admin, and my password will be same. My login details will be same. And the inbound port, not RODP, is SSH. So if I click on next, we are still on the same test VM, subnet default, public IP address, NIC basic, and the inbound port. Now no longer a RODP. RODP is for Windows. SSH is for RDP is for Windows, SSH is for Linux. And we click on SSH, just quickly review and create it. Once the validation is being passed, once the validation is passed, we will click on create, and it starts deploying the virtual machine for us. So click on create. So I'll pause this video, allow the virtual machine to be created, and let it deploy. Once finished deploy, I'll be right back. Thank you. Okay. Hi. The Linux VM has finished deployment. So the next thing, just refresh. The next thing we are going to do, go to the resources. Now we are not using the RDP to remote into Linux. Either we use what they call PuTTY, or we use our command line. So I'll be using command line this time around. Now I'll copy the public IP address of our Linux, come to the command line, and we'll click SSH, your username, at your public IP address. You click enter. You click yes, and it will require for the password. And you put in your password. And if your password is correct, it will give you the Linux homepage. Now, this is the Linux homepage. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to update the Linux, which is sudo apt update. Sudo apt update. Now you can see it's updating all the packages. The next thing we are going to do, we are going to install our sudo, or we are going to install our web server, which is Nginx. So we are going to run sudo apt-get install Nginx. If I click, it asks me say yes, and which it doesn't take up to 2 minutes. Okay, so it has installed the Nginx finish, and it say okay here. So that is it. Now, how do we know if this Nginx is working? You go back to your portal, copy your public IP address. If you come here, you paste it. Let's see if it will work. It's not working. Why is it not working? Now let's go back to our settings. Come here, network, scroll down. The NSG of our Linux don't have port 80. So we click on port 80, inbound port, custom, here, add. Once it's added, go back and refresh. Welcome to Nginx. If you can't wait, for me, I always close my tab, open a new one, paste, and it will ask me. Let me see. Why is it giving me this error? Is it too long? Let me confirm. Port 80 is ready. Good. Okay, copy. Everything's okay. Paste it. It's supposed to open because we have already installed our Nginx. You see, this site can't be reached. It's taking too long. Let's wait and see what is the problem. Let me be sure of our connection. Yeah, everything is working perfectly. Let me open a private browser. Let me see if it is the same thing. Okay, continue. Welcome to Nginx. On a private browser, I say welcome to Nginx. And let me close this private browser. Use normal Google Chrome. Come here and let me see if it's opening. It's not. Is with my Google Chrome is not working. But if I come here and click cognitive browser, new cognitive window, if I paste the IP address and click enter, it opens immediately. It says continue, welcome to Nginx. So thank you so much for following my tutorial on how to create a first VM, Windows and Linux machine. I'll see you next video.